Hello guys, James here at a deserted Guy Tak Stadium. It was not like this just a couple of hours ago. It was packed to the rafters, a record attendance for a football match here in Hong Kong. Just short of 50,000 fans, and I've got to be honest, most of them were Arsenal fans. I mean, it felt like a home game. It really, really did. An amazing atmosphere, and we'll talk about the game in due course, but I just want to say a big shout out to the fans here who were superb. I met many of them, made many friends, and spoke to many of them over the last few days. Not all from Hong Kong, many were, but many had come from other parts of Asia, Australia, all over the place really, to show their support for Arsenal. And before game, as they do at the Emirates Stadium, they sang North London Forever. And I don't say this lightly, it was pretty spine-tingling actually. It was a very cool thing because, we're in a country where English is one of the national languages, but it's maybe not the most predominantly spoken. And as I say, we had people here from all over, for many of whom English won't be their first language. And for whom the lyrics of that song, you would imagine, maybe don't resonate the way they do for us in the UK or in North London, where those streets are our home. But what was really clear is how much it meant to the supporters here to have the privilege, really, of having Arsenal here and being able to sing that song and say those words. And as I said, it did sort of make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, because you realise the strength of connection that people feel to this football club, and how special a night it was for them to have Arsenal here. And we are lucky, obviously, in England, and particularly if we get to go to games frequently, but that's not something everyone is afforded. And so for Arsenal to come here and bring a game of this magnitude here, albeit for a friendly, will have meant the world, I think, to those fans. And I think it's been a very special few days for them. It would have been nice if they'd won, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that will be the sort of fly in the ointment, as it were. But 1-0 defeat, Papsar with the only goal of the game. Great finish, Miles Lewis-Skelly caught on the ball. Looked like he was fouled to me, having seen a replay. Didn't necessarily think so in real time, but yeah, certainly a debatable decision. And then David Raya with that high aggressive starting position, which is a big part of how we play, but it does mean you can get caught with the odd lob, and that was one such example. Arsenal, I think, would have expected to win this game, to be honest with you. Spurs are a bit behind in their preparations. They've not played the kind of intense, high-level games Arsenal have in pre-season. This was their first sort of big game in that respect. They've got a new manager. They're adjusting to a new system, new ideas. So there you go. I think Arsenal will probably be a bit disappointed. It was a contest. It was entertaining. The atmosphere, I think, elevated the whole occasion. But it didn't have, the full needle and intensity that you would expect from a traditional, a conventional derby, or a competitive derby, shall we say. But it was a very strong 11 that Mikel Arteta picked. David Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Kivior and Lewis-Skelly. Good news on the defensive front. Arteta saying he thinks that Calafiori, Gabriel and Timber should all be ready for the start of the Premier League season in a few weeks' time. In midfield, it was Christian Norgard with Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice. And up front, Kai Havertz with Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. Interesting that Norgard started ahead of Zubimendi. I think he played about an hour, Norgard. There is a little part of me that wonders, although Zubimendi clearly is sort of the Tier 1 first choice player in that position, I do wonder if there's a chance that Norgard might start the season there. I think it might depend on how Zubimendi fares in the two Emirates Stadium games next week. I just think it is a bit of an adaptation coming from Spain to the Premier League, and Norgard is incredibly experienced. He knows the league inside out. He's played at Old Trafford many times, and he looked really good tonight. He looked really, really good, really solid, really settled. I'm not saying it's a certainty. I just think there's a chance. There's a chance that Zubimendi might be given a bit more time to bed in. A lot of talk about Viktor Gyokeres. It was really interesting, actually. I'll say this. We were at the stadium yesterday for open training. And we were right up there in the upper tier. And Arsenal played two kind of small-sided games. I think it was 11 aside, but on a half pitch. So I was literally looking at one game happening here. I think it was players against staff who were basically mannequins. And one game here, right side by side. And in one, we had Kai Havertz playing up front. And in the other, we had Viktor Gyokeres. And it was fascinating because the way they approach the centre-forward role is so different. Kai Havertz was dropping in, linking play, popping up in midfield. Gyokeres, he just wants to be on the shoulder, on the last line, getting into the box, getting on the end of stuff. And that demands different things from their teammates, different requirements, different styles of play. It was interesting, I thought in the first half, Arsenal went direct a lot here. They went long, they went early. They looked for second balls, for Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard to hoover up those bouncing balls. Is that all part of the process of adapting to, say, a Gyokeres? I suspect it might be. We saw about 20 minutes of Gyokeres, and at that time, Arsenal were playing a Spurs team defending pretty low in a low block. It wasn't easy for him, right, to get space, to get touches of the ball. So yeah, interesting. Again, with him, I think there's going to be a little bit of a period of adaptation. Hope I'm wrong and he bangs in a hat-trick at Old Trafford, but at the moment, I don't think we can say for sure that he'll start that game. What else to say? A couple of injuries. Kepa was injured in the last game against Newcastle. Trossard went off injured today, looked like a muscular problem. Arsenal fly home tomorrow, and then of course they got the two Emirates Stadium friendlies next week, and then it's Old Trafford, and what a big game that is. I've had a brilliant time on tour. Singapore was amazing. Hong Kong's been brilliant as well. Met so many Arsenal fans from all over. I know many of them watch this channel. Thank you so much for your hospitality, for your welcome that you've given me. I'm very grateful, and I recognise I'm very fortunate, to be part of this Arsenal family, and that there is basically not a city in the world where, I can't find someone to have a pint with and talk about football, and that's a really lovely thing for me. I fly home tomorrow too, late one, flying out overnight, land Saturday morning. Looking forward to getting back and seeing the family. As good a trip as this has been, obviously I miss them. But thanks for your company. Thanks for watching today. And I'll speak to you all soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.